Hello and welcome to GameSack, and it's also the final GameSack for Dave. Why is that, Dave? Remind the audience in case they didn't tune in last
What,
time.
you missed the last episode? I mean, really?
They probably did.
Yeah, no, it's just time to move on. I've got a lot on my plate with work, with FedEx and family and all that stuff, and unfortunately something's got to give, and I hate to say it has to be GameSack, because I've really enjoyed this stuff, but yeah, I just need some more time, so.
Indeed. And Dave chose the subject of this episode, which is good modern 2D games, and this was actually a really fun one to do.
It was. It's awesome to see that there's still a lot of love for 2D games this day, and there's a lot of cool independent developers that make some really, really good stuff.
There are a ton of good modern 2D games, and we're going to focus on 6 of them here, so sit back and relax and enjoy the show. I'm going to start with Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap on the PlayStation 4 from Lizardcube and .mu. It's also available on the Xbox One, Switch, PC, Mac, Linux, Master System, Game Gear, and technically the TurboGrafx 16. The original game is Wonder Boy 3: The Dragon's Trap on the Sega Master System, and this game is a remake from the ground up, though they dropped the number 3 from the title so as not to confuse people who are not familiar with the original series. You start the game off as Wonder Boy, and you've already made it to the castle with the final boss from the previous game. Once you defeat him, you get turned into a green dragon thingy. That sucks! But you don't have time to dwell on it now as the castle is crumbling and you need to escape! Once you make it out, you decide that it would be neat to be human again, so you set off on a quest to accomplish just that. And wouldn't you know it, the land is still populated with monsters and bosses that want to stop you. Man, did you even do anything to help the world in the previous game? Each time you defeat a boss, you get cursed again and transform into a new type of animal. Of course, each animal has different abilities. For example, the mouse can cling to walls and ceilings. The fish man can go underwater. The lion can shatter blocks below him, and of course the hawk can fly. You eventually get the ability to switch back and forth between animals in certain rooms. That means you'll be doing a bit of backtracking here and there to explore areas with your new ability and discover new things. I love games like this. Everything here plays extremely well and it's super easy to get used to. The challenge can get a bit tough towards the end, but I think that most players can beat this one. Just be sure to earn enough money and visit the shops and upgrade as much as possible. And be sure to pay attention to what types of equipment can help which animal. The graphics have been redone from the original and they are phenomenal. They're all extremely well drawn and animated. This is the type of game that I envisioned playing back in 1989 with this level of quality and parallax scrolling. And with the touch of a button, you can view the original 8-bit Master System graphics at any time. I love this. These have been slightly redone as well as they now scroll at 60 frames per second instead of 30, and they're also in widescreen. The music has been redone as well, and while it's mostly good, the arrangement and instrumentation doesn't really feel like a Wonder Boy game. It's too flighty or maybe too folksy. And yes, you can switch back to the original 8-bit music with the touch of a button as well. This game is available physically for the console platform, so be sure to pick it up. And while we're here, I might as well mention Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom from FDG Entertainment, which I'm showing here on the Switch. It's also on the PS4, Xbox One, and Steam. But it's only available physically for the Switch and PS4. This game started life as a love letter and spiritual successor to the Monster World series by fan developers. Eventually, Ryuichi Nishizawa got involved. He's the creator of all of the original Wonder Boy games, well, except for Wonder Boy and Monster World on the Genesis. So basically, this game became officially part of the Monster World series, though it doesn't carry the Wonder Boy name. Anyway, this is another one with cartoony graphics like Dragon's Trap. The character graphics, especially the animation, aren't quite up to par with that one, but they're still extremely awesome, especially the backgrounds. There's really no reason to complain about any of the visuals here. The game itself, on the other hand, I have to admit that I feel it could be better. This one takes the same approach that Dragon's Trap did. You start out as a human and you get turned into different animals with different abilities. The good news is that you can switch between them at any time once you've obtained them. Sadly though, I'm not tremendously fond of the first couple of animals you get to be, nor their abilities. The pig, for example, has an extremely short punching range. His main power is sniffing certain places to reveal writing on walls or hidden switches and stuff. And seriously, it feels like you have to be the pig forever. A few hours later, you get into a lengthy boss fight and finally get to be the snake. And honestly, he's not very exciting to control either. He's kind of like the mouse from Dragon's Trap in that he can climb on certain walls and ceilings, but he's just less cool. Also, the gameplay here is more puzzle-based than any of the other Monster World games. Puzzle probably isn't the right word, but it often feels like you've got to do something tricksy on each and every screen just to progress. It wears out its welcome in this regard pretty fast. A lot of these are even timed. You can really feel the indie developer roots when it comes to this aspect because they love that kind of stuff. I don't mind stuff like this here and there like with the previous Monster World games, but this one sometimes seems to shove them right down your throat. Now, of course, this doesn't ruin the game by any means, it just means you're gonna need a little patience. And sometimes I just don't want to be very patient. The game does improve though when you eventually turn into the Frogman, as he's fun to control, has good abilities, and he can even swim. But you'll still be switching back and forth between the animals a ton in seemingly every other room. Anyway, I've already talked about how good the graphics are. Even better is the music. Lots of Japanese composers like Yuzo Koshiro and Michiru Yamane have contributed to this one. Even if you've never played a Wonder Boy game in your life, you'll likely still enjoy the music, but if you're a fan of the series, it'll really hit you in the feels, as they say. Despite what I was whining about with the puzzles, I absolutely do recommend it. It's also definitely the longest game in the Monster World series, and as always, is probably cheapest on the PlayStation 4.
This is Owlboy, and I'm playing it on the Switch, but it's available for other current consoles and PC. Like a lot of indie games, this one took a long time to get out the door. It started development in 2007 and was released in 2016. You play as Otis, who is a student owl. His mentor is never happy with the slow progress that he makes. Otis never says anything, and that's for a reason. He can't speak because of a disability. I really like this because we're not stuck listening to a main character who may or may not be totally annoying. Instead, you get to base your impression of him by his expressions, and he turns out to be very likable. The game is set in a decently sized world that you can transition back and forth in and open up new areas where you get new abilities or new characters to help you out. Otis isn't an amazing character to control since all he can do is fly, spin, roll, and carry other characters and items around. And those other characters you meet along the way, they'll mainly help you in battle. These guys wield guns and you can switch between them on the fly, which is nice during combat. Their weapons will also open up new paths for you to explore. It's a strange feeling negotiating this world since the towns and areas are all stacked up vertically. There's been a couple of times where I've gotten a little bit lost, and that's because there's no map to help you locate where you're at and where you need to go. It's a bit annoying, but with a small amount of persistence, you'll find your way and progress the story. And the story is actually really interesting. Usually in games, I don't care for storylines since they're so dull to read and are far from entertaining. The characters you control besides Otis are really well thought out, and it doesn't take long before you start to like them too. The game controls really well. You control Otis's flying with the left stick and the other character's weapons with the right stick. It's easy and feels just like a twin-stick shooter. You can drop these characters at any time if there's something else you want to interact with, like a root or a fruit or a treasure chest. These things will fill a portion of your life bar and do other things like hold money. Here lies my only problem with the control. If you don't set your fellow character down far enough away when you try to grab something else, you'll end up grabbing them again and not the object you were going for. It's a minor complaint, but it can be annoying at times. Early on, you gain the ability to teleport your friend characters at any time from anywhere. You just hit the teleport button and boom, you're carrying them. This makes the game controls feel so good. I can't imagine if you had to manually go back and pick up a friend that you've dropped a long way back. What a huge waste of time that would be. This little teleport thingy might be my favorite feature of the whole game. As you can see, everything is really good looking. The artwork all throughout the game is top notch. The many layers of backgrounds is really satisfying to look at, and the amount of detail just adds to the enjoyment. There's even a day and night cycle thing that's going on, and it's very pretty to watch a beautiful sunny day turn to dusk and then to an amazing starry night. I'm not sure if there's any more to it besides just being really pretty to watch, but I do enjoy it. The soundtrack is also worth a mention. It fits the game perfectly and rises to the occasion when things get difficult and is great to listen to as you're just flying around trying to find hidden treasure chests. If you haven't played this game, do it! It's loaded with personality and fun gameplay and it's well worth the current $25 price tag.
Alright, Owlboy looks pretty interesting. I haven't played it myself yet, but maybe I'll try it out.
I highly suggest it. It's definitely a fun game. I mean, it even got to the point where it's a physical release, and I bought it at Target of all places.
Nice. And so, have you gotten Monster Boy?
I have gotten Monster Boy, but that's one I haven't had a chance to play, but I'm very much looking forward to it based on...
I know you have Wonder Boy 3.
Yes, I do.
Awesome. So, we've got more. This is Guacamelee Super Turbo Championship Edition from Drinkbox Studios for the PlayStation 4. It's available for all of the current and last generation platforms and physical on many of them. This is a 2D Metroidvania style game where you start out as a lowly farmer, but then you're killed and you're given a mystical mask which turns you into a luchador. Dios de los Muertos, or the Day of the Dead, has come and skeletons and other creatures are attacking everywhere. They've kidnapped El Presidente's super hot daughter, and of course it's up to you to rescue her and set things straight. Up to 4 people can play at the same time, as you can tell by all of the press X text at the top of the screen. The control is very good with jumping and plenty of basic attacks. As you progress through the game, you'll encounter Chuzos, as the game calls them, which are very clearly the Chozos from Metroid. From these, you'll of course learn lots of new moves like an upward punch, which is also your double jump if you use it in the air. This can also smash red blocks. You'll also learn a headbutt to smash yellow blocks. And you'll learn a wall jump and many other moves which will let you advance where you couldn't before and explore new areas. There's also plenty of shops around where you can purchase upgrades for your abilities, but these can be expensive. You can also buy chunks to help increase your life and or stamina. These chunks can also be found laying around throughout the game, fortunately. When fighting, after you hit your enemy a few times, you can grab them by pressing triangle. Unless you're not playing on a PlayStation platform, then it's some other button. From here, you can throw them after you decide which direction you want them to fly. This can damage other enemies a little bit, and it's kind of fun, but honestly, I just like punching everyone to death. Also, since you were once dead, you can go back and forth between the land of the living and the dead with these little swirly things here. Some enemies appear as black shadows, which means they're on the other side of the living dead realm that you're currently on. You can't hurt them, but of course they can hurt you. If you switch sides, then of course you can hurt them. Switching between living and dead also affects the platforming. If you see an outline of a platform, this means it'll be solid if you switch sides. This is where a lot of the game's puzzles come from. You've got to switch sides and quickly do a move to land on a solid platform in order to move on. There's also lots of side quests here to complete if you want, and usually you get health or stamina chunks out of it. The graphics are nice if minimal, with lots of vibrant color and also depth in the scrolling. The animation is smooth and responsive, and since everything is polygons, they scale flawlessly no matter what. Actually, I think they might be vectors and not polygons, but what the hell do I know? Apparently not much. The music is good, and you can even remember it after you turn off the game, and you're not even annoyed by it, so that's always a good thing. The game is pretty fun to play, and I love getting new abilities and going back and exploring places that I couldn't before. The control is mostly spot on, and it feels pretty natural for the large majority of the moves that you need to do. However, I feel that they took the world switching too far. Once the developers introduced this in the game, they just couldn't help themselves by making elaborate jumping puzzles out of it. This really doesn't need to be in here as often as it is. I'm not a big fan of jumping puzzles like these, especially when the screen keeps switching back and forth. Besides this minor annoyance though, the game is really good. Guacamelee 2 was released a few years later, and it's mostly more of the same. It's on the PS4, Xbox One, PC, and the Switch, which is the version I'm playing here. This one starts out with a simplified version of the final boss from the first game, just like Symphony of the Night. fast forward 7 years later and you have a wife, kids, and a beer belly. But the bad guys are back, threatening the entire Mexiverse, so you get killed again and off you go to save it, again. So of course you start out with your basic moves and you need to reacquire all of the moves that you had from the first game, though not necessarily in the same order. In this game there are a ton more lucha rooms where you need to defeat all of the enemies before you can exit. In fact, this is how it seems like you fight most of your enemies. Also, the checkpoints no longer double as stores, but you can switch costumes and play as another character if you want, though all of the moves remain the same. There's really not a whole lot more to say about this one, but I do like the parts where you need to stay in one part of the life and death realm, as going into the other part can be extremely dangerous or just unhelpful. There are still some jumping puzzles, but I've got to say that most of them are pretty fun. If you liked the first game, you're definitely gonna love this, but even if you haven't played the first game, you really can't go wrong here. It's just too bad that as of right now, it only exists digitally.
Wild Guns Reloaded by Natsume was released on the PS4 in late 2016, the PC in 2017, and the Switch in 2018. This is the PS4 version here that I overpaid to get because I thought the game was only going to get a limited physical release. I was way wrong because plenty of them were made and you can get it new for pretty darn cheap to this day. The game was originally released on the Super Nintendo in 1994. It went under the radar for a long time and now is a very pricey purchase if you want a copy. Natsume was kind enough to see the demand for this game and remade it, adding a bunch of features like more stages and other things. As you can see, it's a third-person shooter game. You control your character in a crosshair on the screen, doing your best to avoid enemy bullets, all while trying to kill everything that moves. It takes a lot of concentration to keep your eyes on both aspects, and the result is a really fun game. The cool thing is this is the original game in all its glory with some new stuff thrown in like redrawn graphics. You can also add scan lines in the options menu if you like. 2 new characters have been added and now you can choose from 4 players to fight as. Or you can play a 4-player game, which is both cool and probably insanely frustrating. Playing single player is hard enough and I can't imagine what it's like to play a 4-player game. The 2 new characters aren't that great though. One of them is a weenie dog that has a floating robot thing that does all the shooting. The robot can't take damage, which is great, but it's annoying trying to keep an eye on both the weenie and the robot. The other new character is Doris. She's an overweight grenade-throwing woman. I don't care that she's overweight because, I can sympathize, but I really don't like her grenades. You have to hold in the fire button to launch up to 3 grenades at your enemy. It's time-consuming and leaves you very vulnerable. The original characters, Clint and Annie, are still the best. Each character has their own bomb attack that adds variety and personality to the game, but do yourself a favor and save these for the boss fights. And the boss fights are tough, so having a bunch of bombs really helps tilt the fight in your direction. Another cool thing that really helps in battle against smaller human characters is your lasso. Tapping the shot button performs the lasso action, and if you lasso your enemy, they're stunned for a short time, leaving you to heavily damage them. I've always liked this style of gameplay, but it's not perfect. I have one gripe about the controls. The same D-pad shouldn't be used to both move your character and the crosshair around the screen. These should be assigned 2 different analog sticks and would give you more precise controls. As it is right now, when you move your character back and forth to dodge bullets, you'll find your crosshairs off to the sides of the screen where there's no enemies to shoot at. Then you have to move your crosshair back on your enemies before you can shoot at them again. If your movement and crosshair were assigned different analog sticks, it would be perfect. It's kind of a small gripe and the game is still completely playable, but it is annoying. There's a new music soundtrack which is nice, and you can unlock the original soundtrack if you beat the game without continuing. I haven't done this yet, but I think it's doable with a bit of patience. All in all, this is a great game that can be had for very cheap, so get it if you don't have it already.
Alright, Wild Guns is pretty good. Like you, I got the physical copy at Play Asia, and I can't remember how much I spent on it, but I got it. And for me, it was really hard, so I kind of gave up sooner than I should have. I know I shouldn't do that, but I moved on to another game. But, watching you talk about it makes me really want to try it again.
Yeah, and you should, because it is fun. Persistence is key, and you only get better over time. So, and Guacamelee. Was there any guacamole in that game? I mean, no guacamole? Not even a single chip full?
I will not miss you. Anyway, let's finish this up. Of course, I've just gotta mention Cuphead from Studio MDHR on the Xbox One, also on PC and Mac. And I'm hearing it might be coming to the Switch? When I saw the early previews of this game, the art style quite literally made me want an Xbox One. It's completely done to look like a cartoon from the 1930s and is pretty damned convincing. Obviously, it's the best animation ever to exist so far in any video game. The game is composed entirely of boss battles with a few run-and-gun stages tacked on here and there. It's also known for being an extremely difficult game. Yes, it's so hard that you could say it's the Cuphead of Xbox One games. Now, don't get up, I'll show myself out. Anyway, it's true, it is pretty tough, but honestly, it's not as bad as you might think. I've heard tales of game journalists trapped in this tutorial level for nearly half an hour, which I simply cannot believe. That said, the run-and-gun stages feel a lot harder than the boss stages do to me. You've got to be really careful in these. You shoot from your fingertips, but that's not all that you can do. You also have special weapons and other upgrades that you can buy from the shops. If you ever see anything pink, that means you can do a double jump by pressing jump right as you make contact with it. This in turn will slowly build up your super meter thingy so that you can do more of your powerful attacks. If you just touch a pink thing without parrying them in this manner, then you'll get hurt just like as if it was any other enemy attack. And you'll be taking lots of hits and you'll die a ton. Fortunately, you have unlimited lives and you don't lose any of your items. Oh, and don't worry, the game keeps track of how many times you die so you can feel like a completely worthless human being later. And when you die, you see how close you made it to defeating the boss. And this right here is something that always makes me want to try again and again. And plus, the bosses are super fun despite their difficulty. Each boss will start doing different things as the battle progresses, and it's always amazing to see what freakish thing they do next. Some boss fights play like a horizontal shooter, and that's pretty damn cool too. The control in the game as a whole takes a little bit of getting used to each time you play it before you start getting into your groove. And once you're into that groove, you really don't want to stop. You want to find more and more locations and boss fights in order to earn your way to the next area on the map. And this game is able to be played by 2 players locally as well. In the computer versions, you can cheat by assigning both players to the same controller. It'll be like playing single player mode, but you're twice as powerful. At least you used to be able to do that. I don't know if they've patched that or not. The sound in the game is equally as impressive. You've got some great ragtime as well as some other ancient styles of music that are just perfect for this. You've even got announcers with the transatlantic accent, which was all the rage for the first few decades after sound was introduced to the motion picture.
A brawl is surely brewing.
Now, my biggest complaint about this game is super mega dumb. It's way stupid. And that's how this little animated hourglass sometimes freezes as the game loads. Why does it do that? Is the console not powerful enough to keep it moving? Man, the Xbox is weak. Now, I'll admit that I haven't beaten this one yet, but that doesn't mean that I can't tell you that this is a fantastic game. Sadly, the game doesn't have a true physical release. They are very, very adamant about not pressing any discs for this one, which is sad. You should download it anyway.
Here's Golf Story, which is a golf RPG game for the Switch. It's not a secret that over the years I've distanced myself from RPGs. I find them very boring nowadays, and I don't care for the tedious fighting and magic systems and the grinding and all that. So here I am playing an RPG, but this one is much different. It doesn't have all that stuff that makes the traditional RPGs so boring for me. It's probably because it's so simple to get into and play that I got hooked right away playing the story mode. You play as some dude who's given up everything for one last chance to accomplish his dream of becoming a pro. It's a simple story and it's fun to play out, although you feel that everyone really doesn't want to give you a chance to succeed. Being a golf RPG, you really don't do a lot of golfing in the traditional sense. Every now and again, you'll play a new course that you come across or a match game with another character in the game.
You do a lot of side quests that replace what I think would be battles. If you succeed in these side quests, you gain experience and money. You can divvy up the experience points between different attributes to help your power or spin, and the usual things that make a great golfer. For the most part, these side quests are pretty easy, and I ended up succeeding the majority of them on the first try. They can be pretty fun and interesting, like here where you have to hit balls to explode skeletons to stop an evil plot that would create an undead army. There's even side quests where you'll be playing a little disc golf. These are fun and easy, and you can actually control the disc in flight, which I really enjoyed. Another thing that's interesting is that you can drop a golf ball anywhere and hit it at anything that you want to. There's lots of things to find this way, like money or hidden switches that who knows what they'll do. When you actually do play 9 holes of golf, the courses that you play in are really well designed and are really fun, mainly because the control of the shot is very well done. Just like any golf game out there, you can see the trajectory of your ball before you hit it. From there, you can refine your shot and move the trajectory to any spot that you want. This will then let you know how hard you have to hit the ball on the 3-touch power bar on the bottom of the screen. And of course, you can do other things like adding topspin or backspin. In a nutshell, it makes playing the game very simple and very fun. It's not hard to have a lot of birdies and eagles on your scorecard. But there are a few things that are missing in this game that I wish were here. For example, I wish there was a way to see the complete hole you're playing on at any time. You can zoom out a little bit or rotate the camera around your ball for a bit of a further view, but as far as I can see, there's no way to see the complete hole. Not a game breaker, but it would have been a welcome addition. Another slight annoyance is putting. The greens are hard to reach since you don't have any grid to judge the slope. The only thing that you have is an arrow under the wind gauge that tells you the slope of the green. It takes quite a bit to get used to, and there's times where you putt feeling very unsure if you've made the right choices. The music in the game is very strange at first. Lots of weird sounds like a melody being played on a saxophone, but strangely it grew on me over time and I actually kind of enjoy it now. Each course has its own song and they're all pretty good. This is a really fun game and I'm glad that I took the chance on it being a quasi-RPG and all. If you like old-style golf games, I highly recommend this title.
All right. That wasn't 6 games, that was actually 8. Anyway, Dave, if Cuphead actually does come out on the Switch, are you going to buy it?
Oh yeah, physical copy of that game? You darn right I will.
Well, what if it's digital only?
Maybe. It depends on the price. I mean, I played so much of it on the Xbox One that another digital copy, what's the point? I want something physical.
Yeah, I agree. If it comes out physically on the Switch, I will for sure as hell buy that. And there are a lot of good modern 2D platformers and other just 2D games that are out there.
Yeah.
I'm actually really surprised and pleasantly surprised, actually. Let us know some of your favorite good 2D games.
And in the meantime, thank you for watching GameSack.
Dave, you've been on GameSack for 8 years. That's 245 episodes, counting this one. So I'd like to present you with this. Mario Teaches Typing 2 for Mac and PC. For only $41.
What?
Come on, Dave, that's only $38 more than you can buy it for on eBay.
Well, I guess so. I mean, all I've got is $60. Do you have change?
I do not. Here you go. Thanks for being on GameSack, Dave.